medicine, but getting the movement you need to feel better can be a challenge. Now you can keep fit while you sit with QB, the world's leading compact seated elliptical. QB gives you active sitting, letting you burn calories and keep moving in an easy and low-impact way, all while you work, read, or watch TV. QB was named a top 10 gift by Time magazine and has been featured all over the world. It's whisper quiet while it works your abs and core, hip flexors, glutes, quads, hamstrings, and calves.
QB is a lifesaver for me.
Here's your answer to your problem.
I feel young again.
Join the hundreds of thousands of people moving more with QB. Call to find out how to get your QB with free shipping and a 30-day completely risk-free trial. You'll also get this QB workout mat free. Now keep fit while you sit with QB.
To order, call 800-289-5820. That's 800-289-5820. Call now.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, this may be the most important phone call you'll ever make.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. But listen.
Your tax problem is settled. You only owe $3,500.
What a great message.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, then you owe it to yourself to call this number. Let our experts help guide you through the process of negotiating a tax settlement. Call this number or go to tax10000.com.
Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Donald Trump has clearly won the battle for the heart and the soul of today's Republican Party, but not every member has given up, and now a prominent Republican is ramping up and fighting back. That member, Liz Cheney. She represents the entire state of Wyoming in the House. She is, at least right now, the conference chair in the House, the third highest ranking Republican position. But that's not going to be for long. She's all but guaranteed to be losing that post next week because she refuses to embrace the big lie, the lie that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. Now, the writing is more than on the wall for Cheney. In the past 2 days, both of the Republicans above her, Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy and GOP Whip Steve Scalise, they have gone public supporting her ouster. McCarthy's trashing of Cheney caught on a hot microphone.
I think she's got real problems. I've had it with her. It's, I've lost confidence. Well, someone just has to bring emotion, but I assume that will probably take place.
Now, we've seen other Republicans stake out positions opposing Trump before, but none with the traditional conservative heritage of Cheney. She represents, as the daughter of the former vice president or from someone in a position of party power, the traditional conservative Republican. And now she has decided to not go quietly into the good night. She's fighting back to try and rescue the GOP from Donald Trump. And with more on that, I want to bring in senior political correspondent Andrew Whitman.
Well, Rich, as you said, Liz Cheney may be going down, but she is not going down without a fight. Cheney published an op-ed in the Washington Post last night, placed there specifically so her colleagues from both parties on the Hill would read it. In it, she explains why she refuses to hold water for Trump and why other Republicans should ditch him as well. Quote, "There is good reason to believe that Trump's language can provoke violence again," she writes. Trump is seeking to unravel critical elements of our constitutional structure that make democracy work. Confidence in the result of elections and the rule of law. No other American president has ever done this. The Republican Party is at a turning point, and Republicans must decide whether we are going to choose truth and fidelity to the Constitution. In the immediate wake of the violence of January 6th, almost all of us knew the gravity and the cause of what had just happened. We had witnessed it firsthand. I am a conservative Republican, she continues, and the most conservative of conservative values is reverence for the rule of law. Each of us swears an oath before God to uphold our Constitution. The Electoral College has spoken. More than 60 state and federal courts, including multiple Trump-appointed judges, have rejected the former president's arguments and refused to overturn election results. That is the rule of law. That is our constitutional system for resolving claims of election fraud. The question before us now is whether we will join Trump's crusade to delegitimize and undo the legal outcome of the 2020 election with all the consequences that might have. That approach will do profound long-term damage to our party and our country. Trump has never expressed remorse or regret for the attack of January 6th and now suggests that our elections and our legal and constitutional system cannot be trusted to do the will of the people. This is immensely harmful, especially as we now compete on the world stage against communist China and its claims that democracy is a failed system. Cheney then suggests that Republicans support all the criminal investigations of rioters being brought by the Justice Department, as well as an independent bipartisan commission to investigate the riot and only the riot. Other Republicans want to investigate last summer's occasionally violent civil rights protests with that same panel. Cheney concludes, history is watching, our children are watching. We must be brave enough to defend the basic principles that underpin and protect our freedom and our democratic process. I am committed to doing that no matter what the short-term political consequences might be. Cheney in the piece sure sounds like a woman who knows her time in House leadership is up. She's either been reading the tea leaves or reading the headlines. Fox News and other conservative media have turned on her, calling for her ouster, and more Republicans are saying she cannot survive the conference vote set for next week. Cheney's headaches in Washington matched only by the headlines in her home state of Wyoming. Word that pro-Trump groups are looking for candidates to run against her in a primary, and reports of polling that we cannot confirm that voters in her home state are turning against her. She's got company in that regard. You can bet that Cheney has watched this clip of Mitt Romney, who, like Cheney, voted to impeach Trump as he faced Republicans at his own convention in Utah this weekend. Rich?
Unbelievable, Andrew. Thank you. For more, I want to bring in Sarah Longwell. She's a Republican who has been sounding the alarm about Donald Trump for years now and who helped found the group Republican Voters Against Trump, which ran ads against the then president during his 2020 re-election bid. She's kind enough to join us now. Did you see an inevitability with what happened to Liz Cheney in the aftermath of January 6th, or even after the last 4 years, are you surprised that you in many ways don't even recognize a party you grew up with?
Yeah, I'm still surprised. Honestly, I know that it should seem like I've lost the capacity to be shocked by the depths to which the Republican Party can sink. But I remain still very surprised. You know, when Liz Cheney survived the last vote that was taken on her, she survived it handily. And I thought that Kevin McCarthy was really planning on trying to hold together a broad coalition that ranged from Liz Cheney and the others who voted to impeach, like Adam Kinzinger, all the way down to the Marjorie Taylor Greenes. It seems like he was going to try to manage that unwieldy coalition. So to see the knives come out for her simply because she won't go along with the lie is still stunning.
I ask why, not being a babe in the woods, but Republicans had their chance, and leadership, I mean, from Mitch McConnell and McCarthy on the 6th and in the aftermath, they made it clear, you know, Trump went too far. All she did was echo that going forward. I'm surprised. They could have kept her where she was and let her do the dirty work for those who didn't have the courage to say what she would. I'm just surprised, Sarah, that they said, you know what, no. We have to still bend the knee. We still have to show fealty to a guy who can't even be trusted to have a Twitter or Facebook account. They had their chance, and it wasn't even politically courageous. Just let her do the dirty work, and they cut her loose. I'm surprised about the political calculation when leadership, maybe not as courageously as her, but at least they said, okay, he went too far with what happened on the 6th.
Yeah, so here's what's going on. This is because she is off message for where they want to be, right? So yes, they all said what they said. They condemned it at the time. And then, of course, they started to walk it back. I mean, even somebody like Mitch McConnell, who condemned it in the most uncertain terms, has said that he would endorse Trump again if he were the nominee in 2024. It's really wild the way that they are backtracking. But what you have to understand is that they are making the lie, the idea that the election was stolen, a central part of their 2022 and possibly even 2024 strategy, right? They are running on a grievance-fueled platform of the election was stolen from Donald Trump and we've got to fight back. And so when she's saying that the election was free and fair, when she's saying that the insurrection was the result of Donald Trump, when she continues to take him on, that is just at odds for the messaging that they've decided that they're going with. They've decided, and the reason is that that's where voters are. I mean, I do these focus groups all the time with Republican voters. In the last couple of months, I've been doing them with a lot of 2020 Trump voters. They believe that the election was stolen. They believe that the insurrection was no big deal. And so it is true that Liz Cheney is out of step with the base of the party. It is true that she's not on message for where Republicans want to be right now. But the fact is, she is objectively correct.
So the question is there anything that can break the fever? And by that I mean, I've been wrong so many times on this. I thought the Access Hollywood was going to kill it. Didn't happen. I could have thought, with what happened with Ukraine and all the rest, that, the impeachments, that might have done it. I certainly thought January 6th was the nail in the coffin for Trump. I've given up predicting, but my question is, Cheney's a smart woman here, and she's playing a long game. She's tripled and quadrupled. I'm sure a lot of it's principle, but also some of it's calculation. Is she more likely to find herself out of a job when she runs for re-election, or that she's going to have a bigger place in the party in the next few years?
Yeah, that is a tough question. I'm not quite sure how to speculate it. Look, I do think that she could probably survive a Republican primary in her state, especially if there's a bunch of people trying to primary her. As to whether or not she has bigger ambitions, it is totally possible that she could say, you know what, this is catastrophic what's happening to the party. And I'm going to run in 2024, and I don't care if I get creamed. I'm going to go up there and tell the truth, and I'm going to say what's happening to the party is wrong, and I'm going to try to persuade as many people as possible. Even if the only reason that she ran was to make Republicans face the truth about the lie that they're telling, that would be a good enough reason as far as I'm concerned, because there's something very conservative, something that I really identify with in just protecting the institutions, right? The point that she's making is that if you lie about things like an election being stolen, you are lying about the foundations of everything that makes our democracy work. And so honestly, I think the reason that she's doing it is because she feels like it's a threat to the party and a threat to the country, what's happening right now, to base an entire political party and its strategy on a lie.
So of the few remaining moderates that are left, or those that are in the Cheney camp, albeit conservatives say this is, a line too far for me, it seems they've got two choices. One is they go radio silent right now because they don't want to have happen to her to happen to them, or they break off, they try and form some new coalition with moderate Democrats and create some leverage, at least, on some of these big policy debates we got coming forward. What is it? Do they hunker down, or do they say enough is enough?
Yeah, different people are going to do different things. I think you could see people like Adam Kinzinger or maybe Jamie Herrera Butler, certainly Lisa Murkowski in the Senate, and maybe Mitt Romney, looking for ways to work with Democrats and try to be serious legislators and negotiate on bills, do certain things that are meant to protect democratic institutions. But I think that the rest of them, keep their heads down or worse. And so for all of the Republicans, and I think there was a lot of them who thought, okay, Donald Trump, maybe he's terrible and a cancer on the party, but I'm going to keep my head down. And, eventually he'll lose one way or another, and he'll go away, and we can go back to being the party that we want. I even thought that to some degree. But that's a fantasy. It's not going to happen like that. And so these legislators are going to have to make a choice. There's nowhere to hide anymore. Either they're going to have to be part of this new MAGA cult that is forming on the right, where you have to bend the knee, or they're going to have to figure out something different, whether that is splitting off into a different caucus and trying to use that as leverage, whether it's you just see how many of these Republicans are retiring. A lot of them are just saying, this isn't for me anymore because the party's not where I am. So I don't know how to predict the future, but I will tell you I'm feeling very pessimistic about where things are right now.
And, I was talking to our production meeting, the idea that Cheney, with the lineage and the rock-ribbed Republican conservative bona fides that she has is going to suffer a punishment while Matt Gaetz hasn't even paid a price yet. I mean, it just speaks to the bizarro world we're in, and we both agree. We need two functioning political parties right now to give voters a credible, choice, and we don't have it, and I think the nation's worse for it right now, but I always appreciate a few minutes, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, when we come back, undoing a painful legacy of the Trump term. The children taken away from their families at the border, they are slowly being reunited. But just finding them, it remains elusive. We're going to be getting an update and also a look back on how we became a nation that could do something really unimaginable. More on that after this.
The first 3 months, we saved $4,100.
CarShield saved me over $6,000 in engine repairs.
I saved $4,100 out of pocket.
Amazing, amazing.
Customers everywhere agree. If your car is out of warranty, you need to call CarShield before your car has an expensive breakdown.
Without CarShield, there was no way that I could afford to get my car fixed.
An engine, transmission, or computer system breakdown could cost you thousands of dollars, but not with CarShield, America's #1 car protection provider.
CarShield saved us $4,000. That was great, right?
Yes, it was.
We're just happy with CarShield. They put a transmission in it and a motor. Who does that?
CarShield makes sure you don't have to pay for expensive car repairs.
The components that we're using are not getting cheaper. So nowadays, coverage is even more important.
CarShield covers most makes and models from 5,000 to 150,000 miles.
It's easy, affordable, and no long-term contracts.
And when customers realize that they're getting a $5,000 job for $100, they're excited. I've had customers who were so happy that they did break down into tears and cry.
We saved over $6,000 on a complete engine rebuild of our truck.
With CarShield, I saved over $3,600. It's a no-brainer.
I never have to worry about being taken advantage of when it comes to car repairs.
It's like having a suit of armor around my car.
Cars will break down, and those breakdowns could cost you thousands unless you call CarShield today and get the protection you deserve.
CarShield saved me in excess of $10,000.
And when you call, you'll also receive at no extra cost roadside assistance, towing services, and rental coverage.
If your car's out of warranty, believe me, you want to have CarShield.
Make the smart choice and protect yourself from sky-high auto repair bills. Call now for a free and instant protection plan quote. It's only a matter of time until repairs are needed. And once your car breaks down, it's too late. Call 800-858-4214, 800-858-4214.
This is important news for people who have taken Zantac or its generic ranitidine and then suffered from cancer. Zantac and generic ranitidine have been linked to cancers, such as bladder cancer and kidney cancer. According to the FDA, Zantac and ranitidine contain NDMA, a known cancer-causing agent. NDMA has been linked to cancers of the bladder, kidney, colon, esophagus, liver, ovaries, pancreas, and other cancers. If you or a loved one took Zantac or ranitidine and were then diagnosed with cancer, call the lawyers at Davis & Crump right now to see if you're eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call the lawyers at Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one took Zantac or generic ranitidine and were then diagnosed with bladder cancer, kidney cancer, or any of these cancers. Call now to see if you're eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Our first consultation is free, and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call Davis & Crump right now. Operators are standing by.
To Papa, was he able to say bye to you? Did he explain what was happening?
No. I asked him to please don't separate us because my little brother was crying. And seeing him cry destroyed me and made me cry too. Then I didn't see him again.
You know, I'll admit there's a lot to choose from, but if there was a single policy from the Trump administration that summed up their heartless, refuse to help, you get what you deserve approach to, well, just about everything, I would say it's the separation of migrant children from their families. And of course, they even screwed that up, making it even harder to fix what the Trump administration broke. Reunions are finally beginning to happen. We're going to share those images with you in just a moment, but we cannot ever forget how we got to this lower point. And Andrew's back now with a grim reminder.
And Rich, the voices of those kids are certainly hard to forget, and so are these images. Separated migrant children locked in mass cages, stuck in cold rooms, sleeping on cold floors, not allowed to speak with their parents or relatives, many getting sick, some dying. It was an intentional policy carried out by the Trump Department of Homeland Security and then Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen. They ramped up border enforcement, exploded the number of deportations, and yes, separated the children. We would later learn through internal administration emails that they knew their actions would damage those kids. That did not stop the policy. In fact, they expanded it. The man behind those plans was Stephen Miller, who, according to 3 former Trump officials, viewed the separations, the cruel conditions, and the damage done to those kids as a tool that would stop more migrants from coming here. In other words, the cruelty to those kids was the point of the policy. And if you needed any more of a reminder of how the Trump team viewed the children that they separated, it's this. The Trump administration lost track of the kids, hundreds of them. They didn't know where they were, how to contact them or their families. And when groups like the ACLU took the administration to court, the Trump team said essentially, if you want them found, go and find them yourselves. Rich?
Andrew, thank you. And as we mentioned, those family reunions, they are now starting to happen, albeit belatedly. There is still a long, long way to go to get them where they all should have been this whole time, but it is at least beginning with a long overdue start.
This is the moment Sandra Ortiz sees her son Brian in person for the first time in more than 3 years. And this is their very first hug. It's all happening at the very same California port of entry where they and thousands of other families just like theirs were forcibly separated under the Trump administration's policy aimed at deterring illegal immigration. Sandra, who fled Mexico in the face of threats from cartels, was deported without her son. Brian, just 15 at the time, was first sent to a shelter, then to live with older siblings in California. Now they are together again. Family members there carrying signs saying the wait was worth it. I love you.
It feels like a dream. Like I was in the car and I was just like, this is finally happening. And I'm really going to be reunified with her after all these times.
They are the first family to be reunited under the Biden administration. This video taken by advocates who helped organize the reunion. Brian, an AP student, graduated high school a year early. He speaks fluent English now. And since that day, he and his mother had just a few minutes to say goodbye, being told they would never see each other again. He has dreamed of this moment.
I was talking to her on the phone and everything, but still not making sure, like seeing her in person, being able to give her a hug and everything. It was just...
Does it feel like a dream?
Yes, it actually
End of a nightmare?
Does. Yes.
Another gut-wrenching reunion. This mother, Mabel, among the thousands of parents forcibly separated from their children under the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy. She was deported back to Honduras without her 2 sons, Mino and Eric, 13 and 15 at the time. They stayed in the U.S. with family. But now, 3 years, 7 months, and 13 days after they last saw each other, Mabel walked into a family gathering in Philadelphia. They had no idea she would be there. For those reunited, tears of joy. This mother saying, I love you, my beautiful son.
None of those reunions would have been possible without the tireless work of the ACLU. After the break, I'm going to be speaking with their top attorney working to reunite every last separated family.
Has your AC busted, computer crashed, appliance broken? Then you need ARW, American Residential Warranty.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty. Home appliance repairs and replacement can cause stress and cost you over $3,000 per year. But starting at less than $1 a day, ARW has home warranty plans that cover household appliances, systems, and electronics. Parts and labor included. When I needed ARW, they were there. My oven actually took a dive in the middle of making a big dinner for family and friends, picked up the phone, Called ARW, they repaired it, dinner saved, that easy.
My air conditioning broke on a Sunday. I called ARW and they came out and fixed it right away.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, even pools and spas, and so much more. All you have to do is call or go to getahomeplan.com. Plus, ARW's partner with Assurant to offer protection for all your new and used household electronics for just one low price.
I dropped my laptop and ARW replaced it with a brand new one, and all I paid was a small service fee.
All plans are fully customizable and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get a home security system valued at $1,250 free with any plan. And you can trust ARW to be there when you need it. Just call ARW and a licensed technician will be dispatched to your home. All covered repairs are guaranteed.
My refrigerator broke, and not only did ARW repair it fast, they even sent me a reimbursement check for all the food that went bad.
So come on, relax. Stop worrying about unexpected breakdowns and costly repairs. Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
Call 1-800-253-1237 or go on to getahomeplan.com and learn how you can get up to 2 months free on select plans.
Help. When you fall and can't get help, you will lie on the floor for hours or days in constant, terrible anguish, which often results in a tragic outcome. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
Don't worry, help is on the way.
With any of Life Alert's 3 emergency systems, help can be summoned immediately, whether at home,
I've fallen and I can't get up.
in the bathroom,
I've fallen in the shower.
or on the go.
Help! I'm in the park and I can't get up.
And batteries never need charging. Life Alert saves a life every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-215-6582. That's 1-800-215-6582. Call now. 1-800-215-6582.
If the emotions of those newly reunited families makes you swell up a little, imagine what it must be going through the hearts and the minds of the families themselves. As we showed you last segment, none of these reunions would be possible without the efforts of the ACLU, and there are still so many children left to find. And for more, we turn to Lee Gallant. He, the Deputy Director of the ACLU's Immigrants' Rights Project, he's been at the forefront of the effort to locate the families and the parents who've had their kids literally ripped from them. And he's also the lead attorney in the ACLU's suit against the government. And while we saw it play out through our TV sets, you were in the room in Philadelphia. What was it like seeing this firsthand?
Yeah, I was there on Tuesday night when this family was reunited. It was incredibly emotional. I've been at other reunions, and you know, they never get old. A mother who has not seen her children in more than 3 years, to see them come together, to see these children who've had to adjust to America by themselves, to learn the language, the culture, to deal with all this as young teenagers without their mother, it was so hard. And for her to walk into that room and see that joy was unbelievable. You know, we just need to see more of it. And I think that we will. We are negotiating our lawsuit against the Trump administration now with the Biden administration to settle it comprehensively. And what we want to see are not just reunifications. There are more than 1,000 people we believe still separated. We want to see all of them reunited in the United States, but we want to see more. You know, we know that there are more than 5,500 children who have been separated, and perhaps there are going to be others that are found by the Biden administration who fell through the cracks. But we need all those children, all those families, those thousands, to have social services, including mental health services, medical services. We want them to have compensation in the form of money damages. And I think most critically, we want them to have legal permanent status in the United States. You know, you've been covering this story for so long, and you know that we are never going to make this fully right. but we need to do everything possible. The Biden administration needs to be in this for the long haul, not nickel and dime it. That's going to be the president's legacy ultimately. And based on my negotiations with the Biden administration, I believe that they are in this for the long haul. And until I see otherwise, I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt because they have been working in good faith. Could they have got some of these families reunited quicker? Undoubtedly, but ultimately they need to scale up a program that's going to be workable for more than 1,000, 5,000 children, in fact. And, we need to just look forward now, not backward. And so that hopefully this is the beginning of many, many families having that same kind of joy that you just saw.
Lee, is the problem that we still don't know where so many are, or have they been identified and located? It's now just a point of bringing them together.
Yeah, that's a great question, Richard. I think it's twofold. One is that we still don't know where the parents of 450 children are, and the children and the parents. And so that's one part. We need to find those remaining 400 plus, and we believe we will. Now, as COVID recedes and people are vaccinated, it'll be easier to search on the ground. But we also believe that families will now come forward who may not otherwise have wanted to come forward because they're now hearing that there's a president of the United States who wants to help them rather than the prior president who wanted to do them harm. So that's one part. The second part is you're absolutely right. We have been in touch with hundreds and hundreds of other families who we have found years ago, but still remain separated. And the reason is because the Trump administration gave them only two incredibly brutal choices. One was never see your child again, or bring your child back to the very danger from which they fled. And a lot of parents decided, as horrible as it would be never to see my child again, I can't in good conscience bring them back to that kind of danger. So they've remained separated for years, despite us talking to them and knowing where they are. Now we hope the Biden administration will quickly bring all those families back. And as we find the other 400 on a rolling basis, we will get them back. And then we need to do the hard work of getting them the social services, the mental health services, getting them asylum grants, getting them other ways to stay in the country. They need to have a safe place to be now and to try and overcome this trauma. I was in El Salvador 2 weeks ago, and one father talked about how he came to the United States with his 8-year-old son. They were immediately separated. The boy, 8 years old, just said to his father, "Why are they taking me?" And the father shrugged and said, "I don't know." He was only able to get in a quick hug. He never saw his child again the entire few months he was in the United States. He ultimately was deported to El Salvador. They got the child back to El Salvador. He broke down crying, telling me that the first thing his child said to him when he got off the plane in El Salvador was, "Papa, why did you let this happen to me?" And that's understandable because these children were too young to recognize that their parents couldn't stop what was happening. But it has racked these parents with guilt. The children are traumatized. They feel vulnerable. So we have a lot of work to do to help these families if they're going to ever lead healthy and productive lives.
It bears repeating. The original sin was obviously an intentional ripping of the families apart by the previous administration. But to me, equally as bad was it literally took you guys taking them to court to have them acknowledge that they did it. They never bothered to keep track of the separated families, and they had no intention whatsoever, even after being confronted, to help to bring them back together. So with that as a backdrop, how much is the current administration helping to locate the families, or is it still falling to you, the folks at the ACLU and the other attended groups that are trying to make these reunifications happen?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the Biden administration is doing a couple of things. They're going back over all their records to see whether there are phone numbers or contact information they can find for us. I think they are also going to help fund some of our efforts. Ultimately, at this point, we're going to have to be the contact with these families. We're not going to have the government be the initial contact and do that. But if the administration can help us with resources, I think they will do that. And the main thing that they need to do is once we find them, swiftly allow them back in the United States. That's what the Trump administration didn't do. The Trump administration fought us every step of the way. The Biden administration is doing whatever they can. An enormous amount will still fall on the NGOs to find the families and make the initial contact, but we are getting help from the Biden administration. We will continue to do that process of finding. We just need the Biden administration to step in once we find the families to do everything else, from letting them into the country, helping with the logistics of that, allowing them to work here, get them resources, and allow them to ultimately stay. That's what the United States government can do. That's what the Trump administration did not do. That's what we are hopeful the Biden administration will do.
Finally, Lee, it's great these 4 families have been reunited, but you've gone through the math. We're talking hundreds, if not thousands, that still have to be made whole. Do you believe we're going to see a wave of these families finally brought together sooner than later? Or are we going to still be talking about this a year from now?
Yeah. I think what we will see is about 36 families come in over the next 30 days to 45 days. I feel confident about that. After that, I think it's going to depend a lot on whether we can get the process set up and scalable. But I do think there will be a steady stream of families coming in. Do I think you and I will be talking about this a year from now? At a minimum, we'll be talking about, I think, the trauma that the families are still suffering. I am hoping a year from now we are still not looking for families. I feel confident we won't be. But on the other hand, when we brought this lawsuit in the beginning of 2018, I did not think in 2021 I would be in El Salvador still looking for families. We're still talking about getting these families hope. So I'm optimistic, but, no promises, of course.
Lee, I'm glad we're making some progress here. Keep up the good work, and I always appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for continuing to shine a light on this. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, folks, when we come back, the Capitol riot, 4 months later, we'll explore why all this time later, still so much we don't know about what happened and why. Also, new call for help from a man who put himself between the insurrection and the Capitol.
Villains, robbers, bandits, crooks, they're all over your TV screen. But the biggest thieves are behind your screen. I'm talking about the cable companies. They charge monthly subscriptions, fees, rentals, and force you to take long-term contracts. Well, it's time to say goodbye to the cable guy, because now you can watch 4K Ultra HD broadcast TV for free. Introducing Clear TV's new 4K Ultra HD design, the Premium HD. Just plug it into your TV and start watching for free. You will instantly receive top-rated network shows, local news and weather, sporting events, and even Ultra HD 4K broadcast shows, all for free. Thanks to federal government mandate, all broadcasters are required to transmit a digital TV signal through the airwaves. The new Premium Clear TV lets you bypass cable or satellite to bring network and 4K broadcast shows directly to your television. Retract the antenna to keep it small or extend them for maximum reception.
Setup was so easy. I took my Clear TV antenna, plugged it into the back of the TV, and now I can watch my favorite broadcast channels anywhere in the house for free.
We're just off the coast here in the Gulf of Mexico receiving free network broadcast HD TV. Imagine all the free shows you'll receive at home.
Basic cable and satellite services can cost you up to $80 a month. That's $960 a year and almost $10,000 over a 10-year period. Watch TV in as many rooms as you like with no additional monthly fees. Stop spending money you don't have to spend. Call or go online now and get your premium Clear TV 4K Ultra HD antenna for only $19.95. It's backed by our 60-day money-back guarantee. Order now and you can add a second Clear TV free. Just pay separate processing and handling. That's a $40 value for only $19.95.
I can't believe I get all these channels for free. Plus 4K Ultra HD, Clear TV is for real.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Today, it's May 6th, which means that 4 months ago to the day, it was the Capitol riot. Now, you've seen the awful images time and time again. After being egged on by Donald Trump, thousands stormed the Capitol grounds, chanting, among other things, "Hang Mike Pence," seeking out lawmakers to attack, even kill. And they sought to block certification, let's not forget, of a duly elected presidency, the 2020 election. And to do so, obviously, would be to keep Trump in power for an election he never won. It made the riot an insurrection. Now, we know what happened, but we still don't know the whole story, not even close to all of it. How involved was the White House in keeping the National Guard away? Did any lawmakers actually help rioters plot or plan that awful day? And what was Donald Trump doing for hours while his minions tried to sack the seat of our democracy? Now, we get some insights from the arrests and the charging documents of the now more than 400 rioters who have been arrested in the past 4 months. And they keep on coming. 3 more arrests were made just on Monday, and so far one rioter has pleaded guilty to his role. So why don't we know more about the riot 120 days later? Well, it's in part because Republicans on the Hill don't want an independent investigation, afraid it might show that their members or their president is to blame. And as they delay, Trump and his followers are now trying to whitewash the riot itself, coming up with even bigger lies to hide their role in the big lie and its unbelievable consequences. But one man who was there, heroically guarding the Capitol, is now pushing back. Andrew rejoins us with more.
Well, Rich, let's start with that push for a bipartisan independent investigation into the riot, just like the one that formed after the 9/11 attacks. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has been making concessions, trying to get Republicans to sign on, offering for an even split of both parties to be represented on any commission and other steps as well. But House GOP leader Kevin McCarthy and others insist any commission also look into protests for social justice last summer and the violence that happened at a small percentage of them. We know McCarthy is worried about the party's image. Turns out he may also be trying to protect Donald Trump. CNN is reporting that one of McCarthy's biggest commission fears is that he will be called as a witness and that under oath he might be forced to discuss an angry call he had with Trump as the riot was taking place. On that call, which was confirmed by Washington Republican Jamie Herrera Butler, who was in the room with McCarthy during the call, McCarthy asked Trump to publicly and forcefully call off the riot. Mr. Trump replied by saying that Antifa, not his supporters, was responsible. When McCarthy said that wasn't true, the former president was curt. Quote, "Well, Kevin, I guess these people are more upset about the election than you are." And so, no commission 4 months later. Meanwhile, Trump and his biggest cheerleaders keep trying to change the story of what happened on January 6th. They're trying to whitewash the whole thing, making it seem like the riot was all no big deal, or we've just got the story wrong somehow. Like this.
It was a zero threat. Right from the start, it was zero threat. Look, they went in. They shouldn't have done it. Some of them went in and they're hugging and kissing the police and the guards. They're persecuting a lot of those people.
Revolting, isn't it? Now imagine you're one of the police officers who was in that melee, tried to stand between the rioters and the Capitol that day. How would you feel hearing those words from Donald Trump? You may remember D.C. police officer Michael Fanone. He was one of the first officers to go public with his story after the riot.
They just started attacking me from all directions. Guys were, ripped my badge off, ripped my radio off, started grabbing at my firearm, trying to grab, ammunition magazines from my belt. It was overwhelming. I felt like they were trying to kill me.
Yesterday, Fanone penned a letter to every elected member of Congress and sent it to the media as well. His stated goal, to help those lawmakers understand what happened on the 6th and after. The fighting, he writes, nothing short of brutal. I observed approximately 30 police officers standing shoulder to shoulder, maybe 4 or 5 abreast, using the weight of their own bodies to hold back the onslaught of violent attackers. Many of these officers were injured, bleeding, and fatigued, but they continued to fight. In the midst of this fighting, I observed Commander Ramey Kyle, calm, cool, and collected, giving commands to his officers. Hold the line. It was the most inspirational moment of my entire life, he writes. Even as I write this, it brings me to tears. I tried to render assistance to some of the injured officers, asking them if they needed a break. There were no volunteers, only those that identified injured colleagues who may be in need of assistance. I have never experienced such bravery, courage, and selflessness. Since then, I have struggled with many aspects of that day. As the physical injuries gradually subsided, in crept the psychological trauma. In many ways, he writes, I still live my life as if it is January 7th, 2021. I struggle daily with the emotional anxiety of having survived a traumatic event, but I also struggle with the anxiety of hearing those who continue to downplay the events of that day and those who would ignore them altogether with their lack of acknowledgement. The indifference shown to my colleagues and I is disgraceful. He concludes it has been 119 days, now 120, since 850 Metropolitan Police officers responded to the Capitol and stopped a violent insurrection from taking over the Capitol complex, saving countless members of Congress and their staff from almost certain injury and even death. The time to fully recognize those officers' actions is now. Rich?
You know, you and I both remember far too well, as most of our audience does, and for those who don't, we broadcast out of New York, 9/11. Imagine if the 9/11 Commission was not created because the White House or the Republicans in Congress were concerned that maybe the Bush administration would look bad because there were missed warnings that weren't acted upon for intelligence. Do you imagine? First of all, they would never do that. Let me speak that way of the former president. It did turn out that there were warnings, whatever, but there was blame for prior administrations. I'm not trying to relitigate what happened on 9/11. My point is, as a country, we never would have stood for that. And by the way, we're safer as a country because we learned about stovepiping of intelligence. We learned what went wrong that led to that horrible day of September 11th, and we've done things to correct intelligence being better shared, warnings, rising to threat levels far better. The idea that we are trying to pretend that it didn't happen, or they're telling us, don't believe your eyes, that it wasn't violent, and that the people, the rioters, are being persecuted after trying to kill officers and officers dying? It's just so unpatriotic and so cowardly. And I keep coming back. We talked earlier this hour, Andrew, about what Liz Cheney's going through just because she won't lie, by Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy stood on the floor of the House that night and said Trump bore responsibility for what happened that awful day of January 6th. And now he doesn't even have the courage to have a commission to find out what we don't know because he's afraid that his conversation where he dropped F-bombs because the president wasn't sending the cavalry for an event that he caused will become public. How small, how weak, how pathetic.
And you hear Trump saying that some of these protesters were hugging and kissing the officers, and we can see with our own eyes. I mean, who are you going to believe? Hey, look, we make mistakes throughout our history. We have repeatedly, over and over again. Every country does. But part of the American spirit has always been to try to learn from those mistakes and improve from them. I mean, imagine if the Republican Party hadn't tried to make changes to how we run the White House after Watergate. And you can go back all throughout history like that, where it's been country above party, particularly coming out of our worst moments.
It's so much worse than even that, Andrew. We have lawmakers like Senator Josh Hawley, they are fundraising off of the riots. And worse than the fundraising, we could have literally complicit traitors that are members of Congress right now that may have actually given aid and comfort to people in the days leading up to the riots to case the Capitol. And we still don't know the answer because cowards won't call for a commission. I can't believe 4 months later we're actually having this conversation.
And because they're lawmakers, if we don't fix it now, it might never get fixed.
Andrew, thank you. And up next, the California recall looks more and more like Governor Gavin Newsom will face that recall vote. But some new polling should have him feeling a bit more secure in his job. And the primetime debut of a new big-name recall challenger may have him feeling even better than that.
IRS, open up.
The IRS is the most feared agency in the country and has the power to seize assets, garnish wages, and even put you in jail for back taxes and unfiled tax returns. Don't be a victim. Call Kick IRS right now and let us kick those IRS problems out of your life once and for all. Our powerful team of tax experts will fight hard for you and will not stop until we've resolved your tax problems on your terms. And if you qualify, we may even reduce or eliminate your tax debt altogether. No more sleepless nights wondering when the IRS is going to come after you. Take control of your tax problems today and make the phone call. We have an A rating with the Better Business Bureau, and we offer a 100% written guarantee, so there's nothing to lose and everything to gain. The consultation is free and the phone call is free. So pick up the phone right now and kick those IRS problems out of your life once and for all.
Call 1-800-719-3527 to get the tax help you need today. Again, that's 1-800-719-3527 or go to kickirstv.com.
Jacuzzi Bath Remodel, a name you know and trust as the perfect solution for you. We call it the tub to shower conversion. We'll remove your old bathtub and the need to step over a dangerously high threshold, replacing it with the safety and luxury of a low-profile walk-in shower. And all this in about a day. As a special bonus to you, you'll get a special extra safety feature for free. So please call now.
After an auto accident, insurance companies will try to outsmart you and pay as little as possible. At Vocate Legal, our attorneys know exactly how big insurance thinks and how to outsmart them. That's all we do, day in and day out. Call us today or visit vocate.com for a free consultation. We'll help you connect to a qualified attorney in under 10 minutes. Get a free consultation and we'll start working for you right away. Better yet, you don't pay unless you win your case. Our accomplished attorneys have the experience and knowledge to handle your case strategically and will fight to get your medical expenses paid, your car repaired, and the maximum compensation. Make the right move and partner with one of our Vocate legal attorneys at no upfront cost to you. Call us today or visit vocate.com for a free consultation.
Vocate Legal, fight smarter.
Now to California, where it is almost all set. Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom, he's going to face a recall election. Secretary of State's office releasing the signature count on his recall petition today, and the recall group more than cleared the number needed to push Newsom to the ballot this fall. But a new poll suggests he's likely to survive it. Almost half of those polled oppose the recall, and none of the Republicans seeking to run in the recall get more than 9% of the vote. Last time California recalled the governor, there was a celebrity waiting in the wings to challenge him, and now a celebrity candidate has emerged in this recall. But what she's saying may, well, actually just help Newsom even more. Andrew's back with that.
Well, Rich, former athlete and reality show star Caitlyn Jenner recently jumped into the recall race as a Republican. She may have better name recognition in California than Governor Newsom does. But she made her first big-time campaign appearance as a candidate on Fox last night with Sean Hannity, and, well, we'll report and let you decide. In this clip, she talks about people leaving the state. See if you can relate to what she's saying.
My friends are leaving California. Actually, were at my hangar. The guy across right over from me, he was packing up his hangar. I said, "Where are you going?" And he says, "I'm moving to Sedona, Arizona. I can't take it here anymore. I can't walk down the streets and see the homeless."
Yes, the horror of the private jet class having to endure seeing homeless people. Jenner is, of course, one of the most famous transgender Americans, and trans rights, especially in sports, is a huge deal among Republicans. Here's her position as someone who wants to be a role model to other transgender people on trans inclusion in school sports.
We have to make sure that the integrity of girls' sports is there. I think that's extremely important. I think role models are extremely important for young people. Trans issues people struggle with big time. Our suicide rate is 9 times higher than the general public. And for me to be a role model for them.
That was a retired trans athlete who wants to be a role model for trans people by denying other trans athletes a chance to compete. Next issue, high-speed rail. She's against it. Here's why.
We are now spending billions of dollars on this high-speed rail. I'm going, why are we doing that? I can get on a plane at LAX and I'll be in San Francisco in 50 minutes.
Makes perfect sense to someone reportedly worth $100 million, may not make as much sense to you and me. Finally, she spoke about her admiration for, you guessed it, Donald Trump.
What I liked about Donald Trump is he was a disruptor. You know, he came in and shook the system up, okay? A lot of people didn't like that in Washington, D.C.
Credit where credit is due, she's right on that. Trump did disrupt Washington, as you can see, quite a bit. And no, a lot of people in D.C. did not like that disruption, especially the disruption this January. Rich?
What do you think of recalls?
I despise recall elections. I absolutely do. And because, particularly of what happened with the Schwarzenegger recall, because you just had a good candidate that they didn't want to wait until the end of their term. There are processes, if an elected official is that incompetent at their job, they can be impeached. There are other remedies. I despise recall elections.
We mentioned the polling. It does not look good for Ms. Jenner. Newsom may come out of this stronger.
Yeah, and keep in mind, on recall day, there are two votes that people will have to make. Do you want to recall the governor? If he gets 1 vote above 50%, he stays in office. If he doesn't, then you go down to the list of everybody, and somebody could win the governor's race with like 12% of the vote.
I think Mr. Newsom, unless there's a story we don't know about, can sleep well at night. Andrew, thank you. All right, everybody, we'll be right back with more on RFL.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want.
Mary and Shirley both need oxygen. Shirley lost her freedom the day she went on oxygen, but Mary has the ultra-compact Inogen 1 G4 oxygen concentrator from Inogen. It's the smallest and lightest model we've ever made, so she'll always have the oxygen she needs anytime, anywhere. The sooner you call, the sooner you can reclaim the freedom and independence you deserve. Call now for your 30-day risk-free trial.
Call 800-683-1390. That's 800-683-1390.
If something happened to you, what would happen to them? Their home, their education, their future. You need life insurance, and chances are SelectQuote can help you get it for less than $1 a day.
SelectQuote found Jacob 40, a $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. And SelectQuote found his wife Wendy, a $500,000 policy for only $17 a month.
Our secret? At SelectQuote, we aggressively comparison shop up to 10 highly rated companies to find you the company with the best rates.
We found Gary, 35, a $1 million policy for only $22 a month.
Why pay more? Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
Call 800-717-7198 or go to SelectQuote.com now and get the insurance your family needs.
At a price you can afford. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Tomorrow evening, we're going to have Chris Shays, former Republican congressman from Connecticut and an outspoken critic of Donald Trump, talk about the state of the Republican Party. That and much more coming up Friday here on RFL. We'll see you at 6 p.m. tomorrow. See you then.
shake your legs, shake your abs, shake your butt, shake up your entire body to a slim, firm, and sexy new you with PowerFit Elite, the breakthrough multi-directional vibration platform that helps engage all your muscles from the moment you step on it. PowerFit uses multi-directional vibration to create muscle confusion and rapidly contract and relax your muscles to help you get fit and stay fit.
It's intense.